Hey, welcome to Office Chats by Breakroom Buddha. I am all about self discovery, introspective thinking, journaling, anything that you need to do in order to really know who you are as a person. The more you know who you are, the more you can tell when something is off. So today, I'm so excited to be bringing you this episode. It's all about how to rediscover yourself in a workplace when you are starting to feel like you're losing who you are and you are starting to let the environment that you work in change you. In the wise words of one of my favorites, Caroline A. Wanga, she says, when something like this starts to happen, you don't change who you are, you change where you are. Well, I'm going to kick it over to my co host, and they are going to talk a little bit about how to rediscover yourself in the workplace so that it doesn't change who you are. But while you're listening to this, keep in mind if it is time for you to exit a workplace, please start planning to do it now. You don't want to turn into somebody else because of the environment that you're in. Enjoy the episode.
Feeling a little lost on the career path? Yeah, like maybe it's time to kind of recalibrate that professional GPS.
Ooh, I like that.
You're not alone. In fact, Breakroom Buddha, that website, all about like navigating work life and all that, did this great article, and it uses this really fun recipe analogy. So get ready to cook up some self-discovery. I even brought extra metaphorical spoons for this one.
You always have the best analogies, I swear. But you're right, that recipe idea, it really spoke to me too. It's like it takes this big, daunting task, figuring out your next career move, and breaks it down into these like manageable steps.
Okay, so let's dive into that first ingredient then. They call it acknowledging your feelings. Basically, don't judge whatever emotions come up when you think about your work life. Easy.
Easier said than done, for sure. Sometimes we think being professional means like shoving down those not so positive feelings.
Right. Got to put on that brave face.
Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting, okay? What if those feelings are actually like the key to figuring out what's not working and then what we need to change? Think of it like this, okay? You're adding ingredients to a bowl, right? And you accidentally dump in way too much salt.
Oh, the worst.
Right. You wouldn't just keep smiling and pretend it's fine, would you?
Not if I want to actually eat it.
Exactly. You'd be like, okay, whoops, too much salt. You'd acknowledge the mistake, maybe even get a little frustrated, and then you'd figure out how to like balance it out, right? So our feelings about work, they deserve that same attention, and adjustment.
I love that. It makes those quote unquote negative feelings, it makes them feel less like failures and more like guideposts or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm feeling restless. What is this trying to tell me?
Precisely. And sometimes we need a little help deciphering those messages, which brings us to like the next ingredient, right? Seeking support. Think of it like asking a friend to like taste test your batter. Are you sure you added enough sugar? Or do you need another opinion?
Okay, so who are our taste testers in this scenario? Who we're looking to?
Well, the article mentions friends, family, maybe even a therapist, and they all bring something different to the table, just like different spices add depth of flavor, So friends and family, they can offer that emotional support and encouragement, that boost of confidence when you're doubting yourself.
Right. Like, yes, you are good at your job and you deserve to feel fulfilled.
Exactly. And then a therapist, right? They can provide that safe, neutral space to really kind of dig into your feelings and develop coping mechanisms if things just feel like way too overwhelming.
So we've acknowledged our feelings, we've gathered our support system. Feels like we're building a pretty solid foundation for this whole self-discovery thing. What's next?
Time to look inward. Yeah, the article calls this step values and goals, and it's all about like getting clear on what really matters to you in the context of work, like what kind of environment brings out your best? What are your non-negotiables when it comes to like a job?
This is where things get really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about like the tasks we like or dislike. It's about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do I thrive in a super collaborative environment? Or do I need like a good chunk of solo time to really shine,
Exactly. And this kind of introspection, it can be tough to do just in your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like trying to bake a cake without a recipe. You might get there eventually, but...
Lots of trial and error.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A whole lot of that.
Which is why I love like journaling prompts. they give you a little structure, a place to start, you know?
Yeah.
In fact, I have one for you right now, listener.
Oh, I knew it. Hit us with it.
Think back to a time when you felt truly fulfilled at work. And I don't just mean like, oh, that was a good day, but like a time when you really felt energized and aligned with what you were doing. What were you doing? And just as importantly, what about that situation made it so great? Write it all down. Don't hold back on the details.
That's a really good one. Our values and goals, they're like a compass, pointing us towards work that feels meaningful. And sometimes that means stepping outside our comfort zones, trying something new, which, brings us to the next ingredient, exploring your interests.
Okay, so we're talking about things like painting, cooking, salsa dancing, all those things that make us like come alive outside of work.
Yeah, exactly. This step is all about rediscovering that sense of play and exploration, even if it feels like a million miles away from your current job. You might unearth hidden talents or passions you never even knew you had, and those can often translate into like new career paths or opportunities.
It's funny because sometimes we think of our hobbies and interests as separate from work, like they exist in these two different boxes,
Yeah.
But they don't have to be.
Absolutely not. It's about connecting those dots between our passions and our professional lives. And sometimes it's not even about like a huge career shift,
Yeah.
It's more about bringing a bit of that creative energy into your current role.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so we're exploring our interests, maybe finding some unexpected ways to bring them into our work lives. But what about when it feels like work is like bleeding into every other aspect of our lives?
Yeah.
That's where setting boundaries comes in.
Real quick, before we continue the episode, I have something special to share with you. Feeling stuck in your career? Then that means it's time for a career comeback. In just 30 days, or less if you're feeling unstoppable, this on-demand audio coaching experience will help you blow up your old career and start fresh. Packed with practical advice, actionable tips, and daily motivation, this guide will take you from lost to leveled up in no time. Whether you're coming back from a career break or just craving a change, the Career Comeback Guide is an on-demand experience designed to have your back every step of the way. Ready to make your comeback story one for the books? Let's do it. Click the link in the show notes labeled 1 Month Job Search Guide and start reclaiming your career path today. Now, let's get back to the episode.
That's so crucial, honestly. When you're trying to figure out who you are professionally, you need the mental and emotional space to actually do the reflecting and the exploring that we've been talking about, If you're constantly burnt out and overworked, it's way harder to tap into that inner wisdom.
It's like trying to enjoy the delicious meal you just cooked when you're exhausted from doing all the dishes,
Right.
Sometimes you just need to like savor the experience without immediately jumping into cleanup.
Exactly. And setting those boundaries, saying no to things,
Yeah.
prioritizing your well-being. Those are all acts of self-care, essential for self-discovery.
Creating that space for ourselves, yeah, that is a really important point. And maybe even a little like permission slip to prioritize ourselves, Okay, so we've covered acknowledging our feelings, seeking support, reflecting on those values, exploring interests, and setting boundaries. Did we miss any ingredients in our self-discovery recipe?
I think we got the essentials for sure. But here's the thing about recipes, right? They're a starting point, not the end. Remember the article talked about baking this recipe in the oven of life?
Yeah.
I love that because it speaks to like the ongoing nature of self-discovery, you know?
It's not about finding that one perfect answer and then calling it a day, right?
Yeah.
It's more like tasting as you go and making adjustments, maybe even starting over if you need to.
Exactly. And some days the cake's going to fall flat, right?
Yeah.
It's all part of the process.
I'm already feeling hungry thinking about all these delicious possibilities. But before we get too caught up in the dessert metaphors, what resonated most with you from this whole recipe idea?
For me, it comes back to connecting those inner values, right, with our outer world. The article gave us some fantastic ingredients, but the key is like figuring out how to combine them in a way that creates a fulfilling and authentic work life for ourselves. And that's going to look different for everyone.
But I love that it's like we all have our own unique flavor profile that we're trying to create. Listeners, I would love to hear what resonated with you. Imagine you're creating your own workplace self-discovery recipe. What ingredients are non-negotiable? What would you add or change based on your own experiences? Keep those questions simmering. And who knows, maybe you'll discover a whole new recipe for success that you can't wait to share. Until next time, happy exploring.
That was another great episode with my co-host. I'm so excited you took the time to invest in yourself today and dive into this topic. But before I let you go, let me share this real quick with you. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Office Chats by Breakroom Buddha. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it and you took something from it that you can take into your own careers. Before I let you go, I want you to visit aicareercopilot.com. This is where you can find a plethora of resources if you are struggling to update your resume, if you don't know how to answer questions in an interview and need some feedback, or if you just need some pep talk and some extra career coaching to help push you along in your job search or your career. This website has it all, and it all uses AI to help you accomplish these things. So once again, you can go to aicareercopilot.com to get started right away, or check the show notes and I'll drop a link for you.